What's up, everybody? It's ImmaLetYouFinish, show number 182 on the Pantheon Podcast Network with your hosts, Court and Amy. We survived an earthquake. We survived an eclipse.
I'm wearing my eclipse glasses right now. I can't see you.
We're barely surviving Eric Adams, but we're still here.
No, the highlight of the earthquake was getting the alert, and after an hour after it happened, alerting us that there had been an earthquake. And it's like, oh, thanks, Eric.
I
eagerly await our alert today about the solar eclipse that we need to be careful.
And suddenly the entire church starts shaking and rumbling. And the pastor.
Well, that's what happens when you sit in a church, Courtney.
And I go to church every Sunday, so actually no, because I'm actually the church going half of this duo. I need some grounding somewhere.
I have my own. I meditate. But yeah, no, it was a little crazy. It was not on my dance card for Friday.
Now the thing is, the guy sitting behind us was like, "Oh, that was the train," and I was like, the train's not under us.
I know.
I thought that either something exploded outside.
That's what I thought.
Or that a building collapsed.
I thought it was a truck. And then I thought it was the boiler because I was downstairs on the ground floor. I wasn't in my apartment.
It was loud. Like I've never been in an earthquake.
Loud. I thought I have been in an earthquake.
I had no idea that they could be loud. It felt like when the train is really loud under you and a truck is banging on the street at the same time.
Courtney, I'm going to tell you something. Don't tell anybody. Mm-hmm. It's called an earthquake. Mm-hmm. That's why it's loud.
Yeah,
but it was loud.
They're not all loud because I have friends who live on the West Coast who told me there's different kind.
Well, this was a loud one.
They said shakers are loud, and they said they're rolling ones that are not as loud where it looks like the ground is going in a way. But yeah, so that was like, fun. Okay,
cool. Well, whatever. Yeah, great.
I was like, so this.
Well, you know why it happened, Courtney? Because I had the audacity to post something quasi-critical about Beyonce. And that'll teach me. You can't say anything bad about Beyonce.
Right.
Even if you didn't write it yourself, even if you're just forwarding but we survived that, blah, blah, blah. First day of beautiful weather today, which only means it'll be shitty in 2 days and we're all sneezing. Sneezing. But it's beautiful. It's New York. All right. Hey. Okay. I love to keep up with the hippity and the hoppity, as you know. Mm-hmm. But sometimes all right. This J.Cole story is it's like the song that never ends. So I had to email this story to myself. It was in the New York Times. Okay, so obviously everybody knows who J.Cole is. Everybody knows who Kendrick is. These are the rappers that white people listen to, Kendrick and J.Cole. Mm-hmm. All right, so... And J. Cole's a very nice guy. I just want to go on record as saying that. Mm. All right. On Sunday, J. Cole apologized for releasing a diss track about Kendrick Lamar, saying he felt, quote, terrible. The apology followed an exchange of verses that began in October when J. Cole and Drake, I think we should all note that Drake is the secret sauce in all trouble in hip hop. Mm-hmm. He's like the Kyrie Irving of rap. Everywhere he goes... right? Am I right? Catastrophe and disaster follows. Okay, so they rank themselves blah 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 with Lamar. It's a big three in hip hop and a song first person shooting. Yeah, whatever. Charlie Brown's teacher wasn't paying attention. And then in March, Kendrick dismissed that comparison in a guest verse on Future and Metro Booming's #1 album. And saying there's no big three, it's just me. And then in response, because clearly these people have nothing better to do. Well, this is what they do. He released a diss track, 7-minute drill on the album Might Delete Later. So there's our first clue that he was going to apologize, right? The album is called Might Delete Later. I mean, right? I mean, I'm just saying a bit of foreshadowing. And then there's like, okay, here's the line that really pisses me off though. This is the line that pisses me off. Here's the line what he says about Kendrick. I got a phone call. They say that somebody dissing. You want some attention. It comes with extensions. He's still doing shows, but fell off like The Simpsons. The Simpsons have not fallen off.
I was kind of confused by that too. It was like,
right?
Like,
I mean, The Simpsons are the longest running TV show in the history of the world, right?
They're renewed for like another 2 or 3 seasons. I mean,
does he mean Jessica Simpson? I mean, OJ Simpson?
Right. I can't tell which one.
Well, anyway, so J.Cole and Kendrick go way back. I mean, J.Cole has produced a lot of Kendrick's early stuff. They're both like, very smart, blah, blah, blah. And then 2 days after the song's release, J.Cole apologized while he's on stage at his Dreamville Festival in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so there you go. So that's a first. People usually don't diss people and then go, I'm sorry. So people on the interwebs are like, you can't win for losing.
First, they're like, why are you
opinions about it? Like, first, it's like, why are you going after Kendrick? Blah, 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 blah. And now people are like, dude, why are you saying it if you didn't mean it? So, like,
listen, I love a good rap beef on record, right? On wax.
Yeah, on record.
Yeah, yeah. And I felt like those two guys could have a really good rap beef on record. But listen. Is the whole thing dumb? Sure, the whole thing's dumb. But I also will give respect to someone who says, you know what? I felt pressured into everybody wanting me to respond. I responded. It's because there's also power in not responding to something.
Yes, of course.
There's a lot, but like he said, everybody wants to see blood, and I'm kind of past being that person right now.
Yeah.
And I kind of respect that too.
I do
you know
too.
what I mean? Where you kind of feel like, all right, I got to respond. Everybody's like, respond. That's what I'm supposed to do. Then you do it. And if he didn't feel good about it, then you know what? I have no problem with him coming back and saying, I don't feel good about it. And all of these people want to have opinions, and all these other hip hop heads want to have opinions. It's like, listen, this is his thing.
It's not your career. It's not your thought. And these are people, and he is like not known. I mean, he's come after a couple women a couple of times, which is interesting. That he's let stay, but
they all come after women. That seems to be that doesn't ever seem to be an issue. Nobody ever apologizes. It's always like come after women, But
good for him. I mean, he's not a kid, J. Cole. He's
neither of them are. That's the thing.
No, but what I'm saying is he's not a kid, and he kind of did something, and then as an adult married man with children, he probably went and said, you know what, this is doing. I mean, I'm not putting thoughts on it, but he probably went, you know what, this is doing nothing for me. He said it made my spirit feel bad. So good. He took it back, and that's it. And life goes on. And then I'm sure Drake will just stir up some shit for stirring it up. Meanwhile, poor Drake is probably going,
You know what it is too? He's an almost 40-year-old man. You know what I mean?
Well, they all are. Yeah.
I think that sometimes if you're that much more in touch with your actual emotional self and your grown self at almost 40, if you're like, you know what, I put some shit out there, I think about it, wasn't my thing.
He's a smart guy.
I'm mad that I put it out there. That's it.
St. John's University, just like Daryl McDaniels.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's a smart guy. All right. So it's festival season. So we were going to talk about there's 2 separate issues here. So Coachella is this weekend.
And no one cares.
Well, you know why no one cares, honestly? Because the headliner is someone who seems to play every year.
I mean, let's get all the way into it, right?
I mean, Lana Del Rey, it's not an event to see her, is it, this point?
And Doja Cat's there, who's just been on a tour. That at certain points, they were selling tickets for really cheaply. So it's like...
Some of the smaller acts are interesting. I'm not trying to diss them. There's some interesting acts, but the thing is, these shows are a lot of money, and it's not like Coachella's not like I'm going to go to a show and then come home. It's like you have to get a place to stay. You have to blah blah blah. But it's not a festival. I don't like festivals to begin with, but it used to be something where this is your opportunity to see them, right? I mean, Lana Del Rey doesn't even have an album what is she going to perform? The same set that she's been doing for the last couple of years, which is fun.
But, she's put out an album. There was an album that was put out, and she's got another album that's coming. But the thing is, you look at the lineup, right? And this will train back to one, the cost of everything, because Australia's having a problem too. Like, they had just announced Kylie Minogue as one of the headliners, exclusive Australian performance for Splendor in the Grass. And 2 weeks later, the festival's canceled. And that's like the fourth or fifth one that they've had canceled within the last year, like all of these major festivals. And I think that,
well, the Australian one, there's several factors.
There's more. There's several. No, but I think it all becomes the same thing, even with some of the ones here. We're starting to see the cost to throw these festivals is really big, right?
Right.
But then they've lost what made festivals special.
There's no special. There's nothing special.
Each one had its own identity, and they were different things. And then all of a sudden, like...
It's a circuit now.
And it's the same people...
Right.
coming to do all of these same festivals. And the truth of the matter is, it doesn't feel special anymore.
No, not at all.
And the cost to go, like, even if you just go on I get the 3-day tickets, general admission, that's almost $500 for most of them. Like, if you're going to go, you want to at least try to have some sort of a VIP experience, so you're just not huddled in masses. That's going to cost you at least $1,000. And then like you said, there's a place to stay, there's eating every day, there's transportation, there's Ubers. But the truth is, when you start taking the identity away from all of them and just booking people, like Coachella never was a festival that had pop acts, right?
No, Coachella is just now, might as well be like, it's like Governor's Island. It's like this. There was always an identity.
South by Southwest wasn't a place that had pop acts and movies and Andy Cohen and all of the things. South by Southwest, when I was going in the 90s for years, was a college festival, an alternative music
and roots music,
and alternative music festival, right? But then it's like, oh, let's make it. Everybody gets investors, and then it just becomes this circuit of, well, I can see them at Governor's Ball, I can see them at this, I can see them at it's the same people. So why? I think folks are getting sick of of seeing the same ones. And let's just face it, you look at this year's lineup of Coachella, and the second weekend is not even sold out.
No, it's not that interesting.
No.
But the Australia thing is interesting too, because there are other factors. So one of which is the Australian dollar is in really bad shape.
Yeah.
So so their economy is in bad shape. Secondly, climate. They have had climate where it's been too hot or too rainy. So they have a climate issue that eventually is going to start impacting any kind of outdoor event. So there's that. Right. And then there's just this general kind of like, it's more expensive for them to bring the acts in because the economy is so bad. You know, I mean, in theory, Kylie should be, and it's also people just getting burnt out. It's this, as you said, it's the same 20 acts doing a circuit. And, you know, the single big name acts are the ones that are selling, the event shows. But you're not going to be able to, if you're for instance, a Beyonce or a Madonna, or when Billie Eilish puts out a record, or with Taylor, those are the acts that are going to sell because it's a focused 3-hour, 2.5-hour choreographed, it's your show. But if you're doing dips and that, why bother? You could see Lana Del Rey anywhere at this point. And there are some great acts on Coachella, and Coachella's owned, I mean, not for nothing, Coachella is owned by like this right-wing Republican. We shouldn't even be going to Coachella just on a political stuff. But I think people are very nervous about the economy right now, even though they have no reason to be nervous about the economy because it's actually doing better than they'll let you know on the thing, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I think you're right.
But the thing is, if you have a lot of money, great.
People are burnt out.
If you're middle class in America, it just, everything costs so much more all the time. Even just having entertainment, right? Going to a concert, you know, used to be, I'm not trying to age myself out because I know it's not the 90s anymore, but fuck, the 90s, like a ticket price was like $100, $150, even before, you know what I mean, to go see a show. Now it's like the average ticket price, even in the cheap seats, is $200 and $300, $400, and it's kind of like
people stop going. That's what I always say. People have the power, to quote Pat, stop going. And you'll be amazed. But I think you're right, though. I think the idea, it's just another show. It's almost like the equivalent of like streaming TV. It's like, how can something be special when you see it all the time? The idea of a festival is like, I'm going to, Woodstock, obviously, but, you know, Lollapalooza, you knew what you were getting. It was a vibe. The Pitchfork Festival, it's a vibe. Rolling Thunder, it's a Rolling Out, not Rolling Thunder. Governor's Ball was a vibe. Now it's just like it's a show. And you know what?
It just feels like the same people, like you said, doing the circuit, doing the same thing.
Yeah, there's nobody. I mean, it's just not that big of a deal. So the promoters will figure it out or not. What happened to your finger? What happened? Do you have a band? You have a boo boo?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you all
Mm-hmm.
right? You have a boo boo? You have a boo boo? Okay. Beyonce scores a number one country. All right, I'm still gonna. All right, she has her 8th number one album. That's not a surprise on the pop charts. I really think that this is the greatest sort of like that she's convinced everybody this is a country record, but God bless. I mean, good for her. It's not a country record, but they were smart. They marketed it as a country record, and then she does the old switcheroo and says it's not a country record. It's not a country record, guys. And even if it was, it's still a good record, but she has a number one country record. That surprises me.
And it's also number one on the folk Americana chart.
It's an Americana record. It's not a country. But that surprised me that she got a country record. But who else came out this week with country? Anybody?
I mean, it doesn't even matter because the point is, even if they came out this week, with it being categorized and eligible in that category, it wasn't going to beat her. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it wasn't going to be her.
I think for a hardcore country fan, they're like a curiosity. It's like, I got to hear if she's actually doing country. And then I think...
but you know what I realized? Like, hardcore artists, real artists, don't like the idea of genre anyway. They want to sing what they want to sing.
Of course.
I mean? They want to do what they want to do. Because I go back and when we started having, I think, like the conversation that... we were having with Charles last week, I started going back into my archives and listening to some of those Kenny Rogers records. They were number one at country and number one at pop. And they sound like pure pop and soul records. They don't even sound like country records, right? So it's really interesting when we talk about what is country, what isn't country, because there's definite things. But listen, happy for her, glad. But it's like you and I talked about. I'm glad that the people on the record are getting attention, and we're seeing that their streaming numbers come up, but we haven't heard about any of them suddenly pulling those records back on the chart and having great debuts. Like, you know what I mean? They're getting attention. Lovely. Their Spotify streams are up. Lovely. But the story to me would have been so much better if we were like, Britney Spencer's album shot up the country chart.
Mickey Guyton's going to perform.
Raina Roberts' album shot back up the chart. Willie Jones's album is back on the chart. Because when we're seeing the numbers of the percentages of them going up, you look at the numbers and it's still low. Like, because they were getting lower spins. So getting up to like 80,000 or 100-something thousand, which is great. But I want that story to be, it's rubbed off and these people are really getting a long-term bump from it.
I will still say this. If I were Darius Rucker's if I were Darius Rucker right now, I would be firing my entire management team.
Well,
just because, I mean, I'm being
he's actually had hits at the format.
No. But what I'm saying is that all this like think pieces about artists doing, I mean, it is sort of funny because here's somebody who came from a pop background, who's been doing country, who is Black, who is from the South, and they would just be sort of like, they're mentioning all these names, and it's like, again, if I were, I'd be sort of like Darius Rucker going, hey, look at me over here. I did it. I've been doing it for years now, too.
True, but I guess because when people think about Hootie and the Blowfish music and who their actual audience was and still is, I think that it doesn't seem as far a stretch for him to move into that sort of country space than Single Ladies. You know?
That band was the bane of my existence when I worked at VH1.
Oh,
the bane of my existence.
VH1 band when they came out.
OMG.
Absolutely. I mean, you couldn't get more VH1 than
no, they were literally like created in a factory, VH1. No, they were like, that was the beginning of AAA radio. And I was there going, kill me now. Is it AAA or a AA? What is it? One is the automobile. Automobile is it?
The automobile is AAA.
Okay, so AA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my God! It was just like them and Matchbox 20 and Sheryl Crow and Melissa Etheridge, and it was just like, put a gun to my head right now. And I can't even think of it. They just like traumatized me. I
love Sheryl Crow.
I know. But at that time, when it's being shoved down, when it's being like, you can't play anything, but no, Hootie was literally created in a double A, adult album. Adult album.
Alternative, maybe. I don't remember where AAA is. I never dealt with that format.
Well, AAA is Automobile Association.
AAA is when your car breaks down. You have AAA and you call them out.
And AA is when you're drunk. Mm-hmm. So, is it AOR? Adult album orientated AOR? Maybe that's it.
It's AOR.
Well, it's something with an A. Anyway.
I was so confused. I was like, AAA.
No, there was a double. I'm going to Google it. There was like a AA radio. I don't know. Anyway, can you pick up I'm going to Google it. No, pick it up. I had a very long day.
This show's very inappropriate.
Talk about Trent Reznor. Bring that up because that's something you're way smarter about this than I am. So hold on. I'm looking for what AA radio is.
But you know what? I believe. What do you have the statement that Trent made in front of you?
He basically said what Trent Reznor basically said in a nutshell. He was talking about streaming, and what he was saying is that in the beginning, the promise of streaming, the kind of carrot that the industry dangled was all boats will rise, all the acts will rise, and he's saying, well, if you're Taylor Swift, if you're Beyonce, even if you're him. Yes, you're benefiting at it. But if you're the Mickey Guytons or a smaller act, not so much because Spotify and some of these bigger things are now only paying the people who are making them money.
And it's only, you have to have they've raised the threshold of the type of spins to get paid. And the truth of the matter is everybody in the beginning got really excited thinking that these were new music companies. And the truth of the matter is Apple, Spotify, all of them are tech companies.
Yes.
They are tech companies.
Yeah.
Tech companies that host music. And they have shown that by dumbing down music to songs literally being like 2 minutes, 20 seconds long. Because you want to get to the next thing. So now, I'm still on all these promo lists and I get all of these new songs, and an extended version of something is 3 minutes and something. And I got something the other day where the song was 1 minute, 45 seconds. I was like,
what?
1 minute and 45 seconds. I was like, you shouldn't even be allowed to put out a song that's 1 minute and 45 seconds. Hold on.
It is AAA, Adult Album Alternative.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, AAA radio. That's true. It is AAA radio.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry.
I was like, why would you put out a song that's 1 minute 45? What are you even saying in 1 minute and 45 seconds? I don't even understand. So tech has done that to music, and it is very true. When you always hear about these artists and they're like, you've joined the $1 billion club, your song has this many spins, and they're like, I got a check for $40,000. You're like, how does $1 billion equate to not millions of dollars?
And the thing is,
because here's the thing, somebody's making a lot of money. The artists are getting that part. The labels who now really don't even give you a real marketing plan anymore. They're making a shit ton of money from streaming. They keep
laying off, people and then saying we're downsizing and then changing the name. But his point is very well taken, and he's not the first one to say it, but it is true. It's like it's sort of like we promised people this was going to happen, and this was what we sold them on, and it's surprise, corporate America is not letting it happen. So yes, the advantage of streaming is that it exposes more of your music to the world. You can hear stuff, and but the disadvantage is that it only benefits the 1%.
And the truth of the matter is, with no marketing or anything, you get dropped on these streaming services and it's lost in 50 million titles.
Yeah, but I gotta say something about marketing, and I know you love marketing. I mean, let me tell you something. I'm walking by the Paramount every day, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a guy playing there who I have never heard of. I finally figured out who he is. Benson Boone. Well, anyway, it's sold out. Mm-hmm. There was no marketing. He's on TikTok. That's the marketing. He put out a TikTok video and people are dancing to a song. So marketing, I understand what you're saying in the terms of like a campaign, but you don't even need that. You can just have that
but
African
TikTok is marketing too. It's a form of marketing, right?
Right, but what I mean,
but I'm saying if I'm signed to you,
right,
I do expect you to at least be able to get my music out there, even if it's to do a full TikTok campaign. And what are we seeing? Universal pulling all of their music, recorded and publishing off of TikTok. So they've now taken that marketing tool away from me, which is the most effective in 2024.
But I think a lot of people are I mean, I have to imagine this is a lot of DIY stuff too. I mean, you don't need a label, right? You don't need a label.
No, you absolutely don't. But for some people, it works. Some people do need the machine.
Yeah.
Right? And you see the difference of the people with the machine. Look at Ariana Grande. She's got the machine. And listen, look at Beyonce. She's got a distribution deal now with Sony and everything. So it goes through her company, but the machine is still doing
right. But Beyonce's being all these people are being grandfathered in. The thing is the people starting now. That's the thing. You know, the artists that and you see that more in hip hop actually, where you do not have to be anybody and you can have a huge hit record.
And the same thing with the pop, like, you know, you see some people like Tana Adele, who's on Beyonce's album, was an independent artist, but she's also now signed to Columbia Records.
Right.
So she was independent and went that way. And she must have felt, I need to grow to get that other thing. I need that support. Some people need it. Some people don't. You know, you and I have talked about this with Tinashe. Tinashe's been independent for years. I think she's really talented. And sometimes I feel like this should feel and be bigger. But she was on a label, and we saw that didn't necessarily make it bigger. But, you know, it's a weird time. I think that TikTok, to me, has made it lazy for the way that people try to, especially labels, try to market music. Just put it on TikTok. It's like, that's not really engaging in something and really getting people to know.
It's a sugar high.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a sugar high. It's a bunch of it's the cute blonde girl and her African boyfriend dancing. It's a bunch of people standing in front of a camera, family dancing. And that's what you're going to get. And so you're going to walk by the Paramount and see this guy, and I'm like, who is this guy? And it's sold out because and it's, if he only has that one song, it doesn't matter. These girls are screaming and yelling. By the way, I walked by there the other day and I called Ben Millis to tell him this today. So I'm looking at the lineup of bands, and they have these three really, really legendary punk bands, and they have a set of rules outside the place, so no smoking, no outside food, no moshing. I'm like, what? How are you going to have the Circle Jerks and the Descendants and the Adolescents there, and there'll be no moshing? Why I oughta?
It's like all of the new rules. It's like, so can I do anything at the show? Can I dance? Am I all right?
No moshing. You can dance. You just can't mosh. There's a difference. As someone who has been in a mosh pit, there is a difference, but it's hilarious.
I've been in a mosh pit as well. I know there's a difference, but with certain music, it kind of comes with a mosh.
Well, I am going to assume that they are not going to enforce the no moshing rule when you have three hardcore punk bands there.
I bet you they will. Have you been to these new shows now? I've absolutely seen them stop people from doing shit. It's like we're in our no fun police version of going to a show.
That'll be the last time. You want to take a break before we get into the second half?
Sure. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Hey, Pantheon listeners. Christian Swain here, taking a break from listening to a little Shouted Out Loudcast episode. Love Tom and Zeus talking all things Kiss. Of course, I was listening to them on my new Raycon wireless earbuds. They have quickly become my go-to earbuds because of the comfort. These soft tips are the best I've ever used. And at this price, plus a Pantheon discount, Raycon is really hitting on all marks. Sound quality is great too. I really love having these 3 EQ options because I like more bass in the music, but less in my podcast. 8 hours of playtime for the battery is great as well. Surround sound, noise isolating, and awareness mode are all included. These are great earbuds. Go to buyraycon.com/Pantheon today to get 20% off your Raycom order plus free shipping. That's right. You'll get 20% off and free shipping at buyraycon.com/Pantheon. buyraycon.com/Pantheon. Hey, Pantheon listeners, Christian Swain here. Another day, another podcast I'm working on. This time, it's Famous and Gravy with Amit and Michael. I want to let you know that I loved the Factor Meals package so much that I re-upped for myself, and then I sent a package to my in-laws. Like I was with my first shipment from Factor Meals, the in-laws were as excited to try one of the prepared restaurant quality meals. Well, they got the shipment to Protein Plus meal plan and were very impressed. See, being in their 80s, anything to make the meal prep easy is a plus for them. They heated the oven per instructions and minutes later were enjoying a very delicious, nutritious, and dietitian-approved meal. One big win for me. But what really floored them was the taste. Like I told you, it's surprising how good these meals taste. Restaurant quality indeed. And like my own shipment, it really was everything Factor Meals said it would be for some seniors. No prep, no mess meals. Factor Meals are 100% ready to heat and eat. Take it from me and my in-laws. Head to factormeals.com/Pantheon50 and use the code Pantheon50 to get 50% off. That's factormeals.com/Pantheon50 and use the code Pantheon50 to get 50% off. Thank you, Factor Meals.
Hey folks, Stefan Shirazi and Renee Richardson here from the Metallica Report.
And we are proud members of the Pantheon Podcast family, where the best of music and podcasts unite.
We've got something pretty cool for you. We're giving away an exclusive Metallica merch package worth over $250.
That's a whole lot of Scary Guys, skulls, M72, and other sought-after Metallica swag. And we've made it easy for you to win. Follow and share the Metallica Report, and you're in the game. Go to pantheonpodcast.com/Metallica, enter your email, and hit that button to be entered to win.
And just like that, you're eligible for our monthly exclusive Metallica merch package.
And guess what, rockers? You can enter every month, so just do it. And while we love our global brothers and sisters, the lawyers won't let us ship outside the U.S.
And we're back.
We're back. How did I not watch any of the NCAA games? What's wrong with me?
Yeah, I don't know.
You didn't watch them either?
I watched all of them.
Okay.
And I don't usually watch college basketball, but I actually watched all. Well, actually, I didn't watch all of the men. I watched all of the women.
Because it was who cared about the men? Who cared about the men this year?
I did watch the men's last night. I fell asleep in it, and I woke up and UConn was on stage. I was like, oh, I guess they won.
Yeah.
But the women were great. And, you know, I thought they were much more excited. You know,
they were.
People are going to hate me for saying that.
No one's going to hate you because everyone is saying that. They were more exciting. It was more the story. No. It was the sexier.
Well, I was going to say that even when I watched the WNBA, I'm like, oh, I don't care. But the college women really had me this time. I was all in. They were playing really hard. It was really, really great. I love it.
No, it was great. And I saw part of one of the game, but no, and you had superstars, and let's hope this translates into these women getting real contracts so that they don't have to play in Russia and get arrested, you know, because the pay disparity we've discussed this, between men and women athletes is beyond, but the women, I will almost bet, brought in more viewership and more money than the men did.
Well, the women's final was bigger than even more people watching any NBA game over like the last 5 years or something really crazy. It was really big. So the thing is, there's new TV deals with the WNBA, right? I know the Liberty games will be airing on Fox, and there's some new contract.
Oh, they're not going to be on Yes anymore? Weren't they? No, they weren't Yes. They were. They're Barclays, right?
They were somewhere.
Barclays.
But Fox, I just heard them say the other day, they're going to be airing the WNBA and the Liberty game. Listen, I know that part of that was viewership, ticket sales, TV deals, but I still think we could treat those women better. They are professional athletes. You know that they don't travel by private plane.
No, they fly commercial.
They fly commercial.
With their 7 feet. Listen, I'm almost 6 feet tall and I'm dying when I'm on a plane. Can you imagine?
It's like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
To treat them that way is kind of nuts to me. Well, I'm like, okay. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see. The draft is coming. The draft is in a week, I believe.
So Caitlin, they say Caitlin Clark's going to
probably
Indiana.
Going to go number one.
She's going to go
that's
Indiana.
Where everybody thinks Indiana. And I forgot when they said Angel Reese.
Angel Reese, I think she's going.
She's projected to go.
I think I know. Is she going to New Orleans? Is she going to stay in New Orleans? Is that what's going to happen?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It'll be fun. They've already set them up as the rivals, the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird of the girls.
Yeah, we love it.
I love it. Good. They want to create drama where there is no drama.
And I think that these young ladies coming in with this popularity will bring a new set of eyes when the WNBA season opens. And listen, I'll be watching.
Listen, I live down the street from the Rose Classic, which has been going on for years, which is basically the young women's version of Rutgers. Mm-hmm. Rucker, excuse me. Mm-hmm. And when you're a little girl, you want to see people that look like you, playing basketball. And that means little black girls, little white girls, little Latino girls. You want to look at a basketball player. So as much as, women love sports, seeing a woman do it is very inspiring. Right. It's very inspiring. So Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, these are inspiring people because it's like everybody has somebody they can latch onto. And if you're a real fan, you're a real fan. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. Knicks, yay.
Right now we're in fourth place.
Are we in fourth?
Yeah, we're in fourth place. I think we're like a half a game behind Miami.
So we're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, we're absolutely going to be in the playoffs.
All right. I think the important thing is shown, though our friend Harry Wenger, hi Harry, he said the drag about Julius Randle being out for the rest of the season, it's going to make him impossible to trade now.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, because he's like a valuable commodity, and it's going to be. But,
But then again, who knows? Because Brooklyn seemed to trade for Ben Simmons, right? When everybody thought that'd be it, and his back was out, and they traded for him.
Yeah, well, look how that worked out for them.
Yeah, maybe that was a bad example.
I was going to say, you might want to pick the team that traded for an injured player, and then it turned out to be a good player. I think the Nets are example of everything you don't do in a franchise. Sorta. Yeah, mm-hmm. the Nets are just basically everything you don't do in a franchise. Like, I know, let's spend lots of money for people that are injured and crazy.
How fierce is it that they tried to create the Brooklyn versus New York rivalry,
and it didn't work?
And they did not. I'm like, listen, more power to them, but they haven't won shit. Y'all acted like they were coming in here. They were going to have this big three. They were going to win the chip, and here we are.
What makes
New York is a Knicks town.
What makes my heart sing, and I'm sure makes your heart sing, is when you hear other people talking about the Knicks now as a team that it's not that they admire the team. There is a vibe with this team. And now, granted, we live in New York and we're obviously prejudiced.
No, but even when they talk about it nationally, like the NBA is better when the Knicks are good.
Well,
New York is the number one market. So they're
Right. But it's not even that. It's just a mentality. It's like we have players that are enjoyable on and off the court. There is no drama.
Because we sucked for so long.
No. But
and we had so much promise.
But we have no drama now.
Yeah, but even with the drama, people can take drama if you're performing on the court, right? Because it's like the Yankees have come out the gate and they're doing well, right? They're doing well this season. There's just certain teams, it reverberates throughout everywhere else when they're doing well. Like, when the Yankees are doing well, they're the Yankees.
Right.
It's been so long since people could be excited, even though Knicks games are always sold out. It's always an expensive ticket. it's a different energy when now people actually really want to be at a Knicks game, and players, we have a better chance of people wanting to come here because Jalen Brunson, what started with Julius Randle really electrifying the team.
Right.
Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and
oh my God, and and Dante,
and Hartenstein, they have electrified the Garden.
Right. Listen, Hartenstein, that was the best line ever, though. Are you light skinned? No, I'm bright skinned. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I love it. I mean, we had our moment of like Linsanity was a moment too.
Yes,
but he didn't have a team behind him the way this team is, and these guys just seem so freaking cool.
Yeah.
They just seem they're enjoying the moment, which is nice. They're not acting like knuckleheads. And when you have a conversation about the Knicks and everyone isn't bringing up freaking Dolan, that is a really good sign because he's the reason why it's really hard to be a Knicks fan, because it's like pretending that like Trump doesn't own a team. You know, it's I mean, James Dolan, like I said, stay in Vegas, put on your dopey little shows at your dopey little, wait, I'm throwing my socks at my cat. Hold on, let me see if it does anything. Yep, woke her up.
And why did you want to wake her up? She's taking it.
Because, you know, I just want to remind her that I'm here. And she's looking at the socks now like, am I supposed to play with this? Is this something? And she's back. I just want to remind her that I'm still in charge. All right. So as crazy as this might sound, we like to talk about music. We love music. Oh, I went to see music last week. I went to see a concert last week.
Who did you go see?
Caetano Veloso. It was beautiful, gorgeous. He's 81 years old. The man looks amazing. Gorgeous. It fit all my criteria for a good show. It was free. It was down the street, and I was home by 9:15.
Got it.
And guess who I'm seeing on Saturday? Guess who my friend Annie is taking me to see? Someone gave her tickets, and guess who I'm taking? Guess. Guess who would make me happier than anybody?
Pia Zadora.
Never. I would slit my throat. Bad Bunny.
Oh God, you're just gonna be insufferable. Oh God, here we go. Here we go.
I'm gonna have so much fun.
You come back trying to sing in Spanish, the show's done.
No. I even said to my friend Annie,
wait, he's still on tour?
Yes, of course he is. He's doing 3 nights at Barclays.
I feel like he's been on tour 700 times.
No, you say that all the time. That is not fair. Excuse me, the man who's always talking about Beyonce. Stop that. He put out an album and he's touring. He does world tours. I'm very excited. And it was very nice of my friend Annie. And she's doing a countdown for me. And the best part, it's on it. Oh, look, the thumb came up again. All right, we have to figure out what this is. Is it? I just made it go away. It's Saturday, so I can stay up past 9 o'clock. That's exciting. And I'm very excited. I'm going to go see a show, and I'm going to learn Spanish between now and then. And yeah, I'm very excited. And I'm going to wear my mask, which I did at Caetano Veloso as well. But Caetano Veloso was gorgeous. So if he comes to a town near you, go see him because it's absolutely gorgeous music. Anyway, so when we were inspired by our friend Charles, by the way, Charles, thank you so much, Charles, for getting the memo about posting our show.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Charles. We love you. And we started talking about, we always talk about what we're listening to in terms of new, but there is that sense of there are certain artists, there's 9 million artists, 9 million records. We can't listen to everything, but certain artists who just seem to kind of like, you need to go back and revisit them. So I'm going to let you start first because I'm waiting for the drugs to kick in now. So why don't you?
Well, I was minding my own business in my house because, I have a house. And I was going through my records, just finding something because, there's a lot of new music, but sometimes I'm feeling like this all kind of just feeling the same. So I was digging into my Brit Soul section.
You have them sectioned off?
I do. Everything has sections.
You're the guy in High Fidelity. You know that, right?
Everything is all of the artists are grouped together, like everybody when I have
that makes sense.
People's catalogs together. And then I have sections, right? I have a dance section. I have a Paradise Garage era section.
Oh, that makes sense.
I have a freestyle section, a hip hop section, soul section, my favorite. Then I have the Holy Grail, what I call my Holy Grail of high homosexuality, which starts with it's Kylie, Madonna, Meelin, Jodie Watley, leading into Janet Jackson and that whole thing.
Interesting.
And Grace Jones goes into like Sylvester. Anyway, And so I was listening to Soul's second album. Okay. A Dream's a Dream, which brought me back to, I think it was 1991. It's either 91 or 93. It might have been 90. I think it's 91, where Victoria Wilson James' debut solo album, she was the female lead vocalist on Soul to Soul single, I Dreamed a Dream. I can see.
So not, because Karen Wheeler is the one everybody kind of knows.
Karen Wheeler is the one everybody really remembers from the first album, and she's Keep On Moving and Back to Life. Second album has several different lead vocalists. Victoria Wilson James was the lead vocalist on the single, A Dream's a Dream. And she put out an album on Epic Records called Perseverance that had a really great first single called Through. And it's just, and it's on Spotify now, which is great because clearly I can see now it's listed to, it's copywritten as Victoria Wilson James. So she clearly got the masters back and owns her album.
She's British. She's a British artist. And
it's put it back up. And it just reminds me of sort of that Brit soul moment of the very early 90s when Soul to Soul, that sound,
Young Disciples,
was all of that really kind of playing through our speakers. And Victoria, I don't think got as much love here, even though she had a really great Frankie Knuckles remix of her single Through that was a club hit. And it made me revisit that album, and it's just still sounds.
I got to listen to it because that was a very
good.
That was a very Brooklyn boho moment. Everywhere, but that was the music, playing at Frank's and all that stuff, the Soul to Soul stuff, and the Young Disciples and Carleen Anderson and all.
I love Carleen
Anderson. I do too.
Yeah. True Spirit is a fucking great album.
True Spirit is a great and all that stuff. Yeah. So, all right, I'll go check that out. And because that's great. I mean, those women, those are the great singers,
That was back, kind of when, you needed to be able to sing.
Oh, crazy talk.
Novel concept.
Crazy talk, I say. Crazy talk, I say.
A vocalist with vocal talent? How dare you?
Crazy talk.
Dare you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna have to rethink this whole concept of a podcast if you're gonna keep coming out with these crazy highfalutin Illuminati concepts of yours that you actually should know how to sing if you're going to be a singer. But anyway, carry on. Next artist, please.
And in my next artist, I was going through that same section.
I like that. Do you have little file folders in it?
No,
like a loose leaf?
But do you know what the weird, crazy thing is? If you ask me for a record,
you can find it.
I know exactly where everything is. Or at least the section, I know where it should be. And I put everything back when I take it out because I'm just a weirdo like that. And I know where everything is.
Right.
There's another UK singer. This album came out in 1993. And actually, no, this is that was
a golden era for all that.
Well, her first album came out in 1993. Which is called So Close. I'm looking at her second album, Dina Carroll. Second album.
I just started looking through it. Yeah.
Only Human, and I love Dina Carroll. I love her voice, and she has she's another one who started with sort of producers making, the singer over electronica beats and stuff.
Right.
And then went on to make 2 platinum, one was multi-platinum and the other was platinum albums in the UK. And Only Human, I love it. I love her voice. It has everything on it. It has a David
Clavillas?
David Cole and Clavillas produced a song on her first album.
David Cole and Robert Clavillas
called Special Kind of Love, which is a great song. And then on Only Human, David Morales produced a great single for her. It was called Living for the Weekend, which was a club smash. But she also has her beautiful version of The Perfect Year from Sunset Boulevard. Just great voice. And just made me, I hadn't listened to Dina in so long. And just, it's one of those records that when I went back to it, I was like, oh, I need to get back into her. And then I just started listening to her again.
It's so funny. I thought about that. I was watching Graham Norton or reruns of, I watch it online and then I'll talk about it. And I'm looking at the panel and all of a sudden I see this woman, freaking Gabrielle.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, because you could tell it was her because she had the hair in front of her eye. That first Gabrielle record, oh my God.
And she's still putting out music.
Yeah, well, that was Abby. I mean, she was on the couch on Graham Norton, but I was like, Gabrielle, I loved that record.
Yeah, that first album was fucking great.
Played it to death. I mean, I just absolutely. All right, so we're both kind of in a Brit mood. We're kind of like, well, you know what? I think that's our sweet spot in a lot of ways. I think you and I, the Brits do. I mean, I guess it's the way the British feel about us. They think we do something but the Brits. All right, so I'm going to talk about one guy. I'll talk about the one who's lesser known, and then one who's probably better known. So James Morrison, his first album came out in 2000. It's called Undiscovered. No, 2006. Excuse me, 2006. Undiscovered. I don't know what drew me to him. This is back when I was getting serviced a lot and I was being sent stuff. He's a young British singer-songwriter in a soulful kind of vein, but, not like hitting you over the, he's not trying to be something. He's not Justin Timberlake, all right? He's not trying to, great songs though. Under the Influence, the pieces don't fit anymore. He can do ballads. He can do more up-tempo stuff. You'll hear us like a lot of times his stuff is in movies and TV shows. There was just something about him. And I, to this day, don't know what drew me to him, but I love him. And he's somebody that I go back to and listen to. He came out of that same sort of era that Paolo Nutini, who I also love a lot, came out. And I have a major thing for Paul Young. He, to me, is like the template, and then they all kind of trickle down so he's he's put out a million different records. Like he was on an American label for a hot minute. I think he was on Atlantic, and they made an effort to their credit. I mean, he's cute and he was young and then just sort of, he's somebody, I'm sure if you go to a festival in England or the Netherlands, he's probably like getting gigs and stuff like that, but he never 100% connected here, but it's a great record. And then there's Lewis Taylor, and Lewis Taylor to me, I was turned on, Mark and Barney, our friends at Rocksmith, turned me on to Lewis Taylor. And the way they describe it is like if Marvin Gaye played the electric guitar. And I was like, that even sounds bizarre. And that's exactly, Lewis Taylor had been kicking around for years, was a prog rock musician, did all different types of music, and then he put out in 96 his self-titled album. And it was one of those records, you know how there's certain records where everyone seems to be listening to it at the same time.
Yeah.
And this was that record. I mean, everybody was like, who is this guy? There were no pictures really of him. Bittersweet, Lucky, and the thing that really made him, first off, great songs. So that always works. Great vocals, but he's a musician. He was like, it was that kind of vibey R&B influence stuff. And then these searing, scorching guitar solos. And it's there was a lot of stuff, there was a lot of things you could say about that, but it was not based on, you weren't hearing some of these like rip your face off guitar solo. So it really, really moody, interesting stuff. The record never came out in the United States. And then but it was like, he was on island in the UK and it was just everybody was like Lewis Taylor. And it was all that, they lumped him into the whole acid jazz thing, which he was not, but that's what they did with everybody. Okay. Buzz, 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 buzz. Everybody loves him. Everybody wants to work with him. A lot of black artists are saying they want to work with him. He becomes the guy. Then he records a follow-up record that Island rejects because they want like part 2 of the first record, which is so funny because it wasn't a commercial hit. So it's really funny. It's like you want like him to duplicate the first record, even though the first record really was just like a cult record. So he scraps that record. It's re-released in 2004 as the Lost album. You won't believe it's the same guy doing both records. The Lost album sounds like if the Beach Boys moved it's like a Beach Boys psychedelic soul record. It's gorgeous. His harmony production, his musicianship is amazing. He puts out Lewis 2 in 2000, which is sort of, I guess, the follow-up to the first Lewis record. Phenomenal record. Again, like Satisfied. If you listen to that song, the guitar solo on this, and he's just great, great, great singing. Stone part. 1, Stone Part 2 in 2004. Robbie Williams covered Love Light, which is his big hit, was one of Robbie Williams' big hit. And then he just sort of, and then I didn't even know this, he, as Andrew Taylor, which I think is his government name, he was the musical director and bassist for Gnarls Barkley, which I had no idea. So he never played. He was one of those guys, you know what I mean, who never did a lot of live gigs. Right. He never played in the United States. He finally did play in the United States, 2005. It was one of those like, oh my God, like all the cool kids are there. And he was a little underwhelming live. But I think it's because, as our friend online, L. Michael Gibson said, I think it's because somebody who is that, the intricacies of the harmony and the guitar playing and the overdubbing, how are you going to do that live when you think about it?
Well, it's really hard if you haven't been honing that craft for years. The thing is, people, even if you can really sing and you're talented, it is hard to do a live show. You get better by doing it. And he hadn't really performed a lot. You know?
Well, he hadn't performed a lot, or he'd done smaller gigs. And you can see when you see him on television, I posted a performance of him, you can see that he's not somebody who's comfortable as a live musician. He always struck me as a studio musician who made, he made great albums. It's not that he's horrible, but he was not interesting. It's a horrible thing to say, but he was not interesting to look at necessarily. He was just sort of like there. There was no presence. He had no presence.
Energy. It's like what we talked about with Pet Shop Boys. It's like, even though they're dancers and all that stuff, Neil doesn't dance. He walks back and forth with the mic in his hand, but there's a presence.
Yeah,
there's an energy. Yeah. There is that thing, because they've been performing since the 80s and touring consistently, you know?
I think with Lewis Taylor, and he's basically quit the music business. He put out a record in 2022 called Numb, which was okay. It wasn't great. If it was anybody else but him, it would be great. But when you have 3 solidly perfect records, it's kind of, but he just doesn't do anything. I think you could kind of look at him and tell that he was one of these guys who was just not comfortable being a live performer.
Some people are recording artists. They're not.
Yes, some people are recording.
They're like, I like to make the records. I don't want to go out and perform.
And they're gorgeous. But I'm telling you, the Lewis Taylor, and it's funny. Like I posted the clip of him. I was just scrolling through that. Oh man, Lewis Taylor. He's one of those guys. I mean, he's just one of those guys that people are fanatical about, and everyone I've played him for or has heard him, you lock into him because the voice is great, the songs are fantastic, and then there's this musicianship that it's like the guy. I mean, he was a prog rocker. I mean, he's really, really great, and he doesn't record anymore, and so it's not like. I get the feeling with him that he achieved the level of success he needed to achieve.
Are all of the albums on streaming?
Yeah, all of them are on streaming. All of them are available in live records. But the Gnarls Barkley thing, I had absolutely no idea about that. But no, the Lewis Taylor record, so I will forever be in debt to Mark and Brian. I always say I turned them onto The Wire and they turned me onto Lewis Taylor. So Lewis Taylor, please, we'll put, but just phenomenal. James Morrison, Dina Carroll, Victoria, give me her middle name again.
Wilson James.
That's the most British freaking name I've ever heard of.
Victoria Wilson.
I mean, Jesus Christ. Is there a hyphen? I hope there's a hyphen at some point, right? Is there a hyphen?
No, there isn't a hyphen.
Oh, because those Brits, they do love a hyphen.
They love a hyphen. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Brits, are you watching Ridley at all? Did you watch Ridley?
I've heard it's great. I'm not watching it yet, but I've heard it's
found
really
it on. Well, he's just to die for. It's slow. It's not the talented Mr. Ripley. I'll just put it that. But it's the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen in my life. It is gorgeous. It's black and white, and it's a lot of gorgeousness, and it's good. It's definitely worth watching. I mean,
I am homosexually watching Top Chef, if that counts.
Well, you homosexually watch everything.
This is true.
I was going to say, like, what have you ever done not homosexually? Exactly.
I was trying to think, but I couldn't. It wasn't.
I was going to say have sex with women, but even if you did that, it would be homosexually.
Well, I've done that, so
Well, homosexually, right? Everything, right? And me too. Anything you do, we are who we are, Courtney. We can't help it. It's like people like saying you're acting like. I was like, I'm acting like I am. and you act, and that's what makes us great. Yes, but I'm glad you're watching.
We're like one hit wonders that are having a reunion 50 years later and decide to do a podcast. We had one hit in 1982. It's a disco dance song that no one can remember anymore.
I know, nobody can remember. I know, it's like so.
But we're back.
All right, are you listening to anything other than our Wayback Machine stuff? Is there anything else you're listening to these days?
Am I listening to anything? Let me look and see, what have I been listening to? Is there anything here? No.
Okay.
I tried to listen to a bunch of the new things that have come out, and I have to be honest with you. It gets 1 or 2 listens, and I'm like,
what is it? Like what? They're all the same song.
Like I listened to the Shakira album because I'm going, let me listen to it. Okay, it's fine.
Is it English or Spanish?
It's a mixture of both, but it's a mixture of both. There's a lot of singles that have come out, but nothing that has really held me and made me say, wow, this is a moment. Actually, do you know what I went back to that really is good? The Ariana Grande album.
Okay.
It is good.
I like the idea of her more than her.
It's the same with me. And she has good songs. And I really love the idea of her.
This is a horrible. Can you imagine? It's a good thing we're not in A&R. I like the idea of you. I just don't want to see you.
It's like, but sometimes, like, it used to drive me crazy, the little Lolita thing, because I'd be like,
yeah, it's a little much. It's a little pervy, right? It's a little pervy.
I'm like,
it's you're at Aretha Franklin's funeral and you're wearing like a romper.
Can we talk about that again?
No, let's not. No, that was painful. That was painful. No, that was painful. I mean, bless her heart. She looked amazing. All I can say is thank God Aretha was dead, because she would have said gowns.
She would have been like, gowns.
Gowns. And why don't you wear one?
And why don't you wear one? I'm the queen of motherfucking soul. What
right,
do you have
and you're up here in a romper, okay? Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Billie Eilish record. And by the way, she's recording it on recycled vinyl. She's not putting out, she's using she's walking the walk. And the Dua Lipa record, because I'll tell you, so far the 2 singles have not killed me. So I'm hoping they're saving the best for the album.
Houdini.
I like Houdini. But
what was the other one?
Exactly. Thank you.
No, not Training Day, because Training Day is okay, but there was something else too. Wasn't there something before? It was Houdini.
What was the Barbie song? That's what you're thinking of.
Yeah, is that what it was?
It's the Barbie song. All right. It's the Barbie song. It's a song that it's huge. You were thinking of the Barbie song.
Which I did not love that song.
I love her.
I love her. I didn't love the Barbie.
That song was not great.
I was so surprised that became the massive hit. I was like, really? This song? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
well, I think but Billie Eilish, I think this is going to...
I'm talking about Dua, not the Billie Eilish. But Billie Eilish, you made me listen to Billie Eilish. Because remember when that first album came out, I was like, that's just not for me. That's like a kid's... You made me listen to her and Olivia Rodrigo.
Thank you.
Because I was like, those records are too young. I don't care. And I still kind of feel that way about Olivia Rodrigo. Even though I do too.
She's very talented,
and I think to the market that she's speaking to, she's hitting the nail right on the head. You know?
No, I do too, because we've heard, though, I got to give her, man, she's got the Breeders opening up for her.
Right.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah, but I mean, look, Olivia Rodrigo, I like her a lot. Is she my demo? Obviously not. I mean, she's doing stuff that I already listened to, but I admire her for doing it. She seems to be another one who's walking the walk. Billie Eilish, I told you this at the time. Billie Eilish, my Black and Latino female students at a high school were like, you need to listen to her. And I'm like, oh my God, she's great.
Yeah.
They liked it because she's, in her own weird way, super relatable.
Well, because when you look at her, you know that girl.
You know that girl.
You know that girl. You know what I mean? Even when she's on the red carpet, you still are like, oh, when I get dressed up, I know that girl.
Right.
You know what I mean?
She's
not
very
overly glamazoned. It's not.
I am very much going to be very much interested in what this album sounds like, because for me, her and her brother are making just really, really perfect pop records. They really are.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I listened to today is this artist called, I'm going to mispronounce it, I always do, Sinkane, Sinkane. I think I've seen them perform at Metro Tech a million years ago. He's from Sudan, but I think he lives in the United States. It's really cool. It's like Afrobeat, and it's gospel, and it's all over the map. The new album is called We Belong. It's super kind of cool stuff. I really, it's just fun. And we talked about this with Charles. I've gone back and listened to the Dionne Farris, her debut record. I mean, go back and listen. I mean, that record is just great.
I've worked those videos.
I think she came to do Four on the Floor with Randy Jackson, who produced the record.
That's such I saw her perform that record at the Mercury Lounge.
So great.
R.I.P. Mercury Lounge. She was amazing. She's another one who had a second album that she turned into Columbia and they turned it down.
Well, she also the backstory, I think Miguel, she's another one who got involved with like a fairly respected musician who kind of screwed her over, baby bad. We know who we're talking about, the artist and whatever. But, yeah, go back and listen to that record, because this is not taking anything away from Beyonce's version of Blackboard, but it's been done before by a Black woman. It's and it's interesting. I'm not comparing them; they're very different artists. And I think Dionne Farris is another one of those people. She was one of the few Black artists that VH1 would play, because I know it was like was AAA. But that's a great single. But I always sort of equate her to sort of the way that like Desiree or Joan Osborne had a single that sounded like nothing like the rest of the record.
Desiree, let me just tell you something. I know everybody loves the second album because that has the big hit, but her first album, Mind Adventures, is good. A fucking amazing album that people need to. And I actually put that on from time to time. And her third album, Life, is an amazing. That's the album that has "I'm Kissing You" on it. That's an amazing, amazing album. I love Desiree.
We can just do an all British show, and I would
get into Mika Paris and go.
Oh my God, Beverly Knight.
It's funny because then I started going down my Beverly Knight K-hole, and I was like, should Beverly Knight be some of my albums this week? Because Beverly Knight
Let's do that. I want to do that. Lyndon David Hall.
I mean, come on.
Roachford, Jeffrey Williams. I'm like, I'm all for that. I mean, because that nobody has done it better, I think. At that era of Black pop was just, and it was sort of like a good era to be in the music industry, because we were getting to hear this stuff and hanging out with cool people and hanging out at Frank's.
The ones who were coming to New York, we were getting to go see them and see those shows.
Well, I saw Ephraim Lewis perform.
I was going to bring him up. He was supposed to be that album Skin is fucking
all right, we got to do a whole show on this because we're losing our mind.
No.
But I saw him at what was the name of that club in Times Square? It was the Edison. Right? The Edison. It was like an old school kind of nightclub. It had like banquettes and stuff like that. The Edison. Is that where did they do Giant Step? Was that the Edison or was that someplace else? You know what I'm talking about?
I remember when Giant Step was down at the Canal Room.
No, but it started. Well, anyway, we could listen. That will be that whole era still to this day. I mean, all right, I'm having a moment. I'm having palpitations and I'm hungry because it's 6:30 and Miss Linden is hungry.
Well, you know what that means, kids.
I'm hungry.
It's time to go. First of all, I gotta say congrats to my friend Lisa who just scored some Madonna tickets. She's texting me like, "I'm going to see Madonna tonight in Miami. Exciting! You're gonna love it." You know what the deal is, kids. Tell a friend about us. Share our show, leave a rating, keep coming back to our like y'all are really lively on our Facebook page.
OMG.
And it's so funny. It's so
hilarious.
Funny that hilarious. I'm always surprised at the posts that really start the whole Discord and all Discord and conversation.
But I will not, I'm sorry, we will not have any Robbie Williams slander. I'm looking at you, whoever you are. I don't know who you are. No slander. You can say you don't like him, but you can no slander. But please, guys,
you had to break up a fight a couple of weeks ago.
I know. I really, when did I become like, I'm sort of like, like I've turned into like a less psychotic Andy Cohen at the Real Housewives reunion. Stop it, both of you.
I just come in and I'm like, all right, like cut the fuck out. You're always like, everybody.
Right. No, everybody calm down. Well, what's so funny is that
teacher mode. It's
it's meditating. It's like you know what? We're all making very valid points. Everyone is making a very interesting point, but now I'm going to ask you to stop. Yeah. Well, what's so funny is that we don't even have to identify when we log in under ImmaLetYouFinish who's saying what, because it's very obvious who's saying what.
Yeah.
First off, it's just hilarious. It's like, hi, white girl here. I'm saying this now.
You know that's my point. Like one time you had said something on one of our clips and on TikTok, and this guy wrote this whole thing, like basically letting us having and telling us we were jealous. And I just
jealous of what?
I was thinking it was so dumb. And I came back with my very adult. I was so proud of myself.
Oh, were you?
I was like, all opinions are valid.
Are you channeling me? I appreciate that.
I was like, all opinions are valid.
I know.
And we welcome them. Even yours.
Even yours.
Meanwhile, and because that was what I ended up putting. Because the first one was like, fuck you.
Right.
Go fuck yourself.
But then you'll call me up and say, okay, I'm about to say, and we're both kind of aggressive, mouthy New Yorkers, but I'll go, Courtney, I got this. I will write a nice.
I'm like, the people.
I've been writing, right.
Like
I've been like
fighting and they're attacking each other.
No. I have learned, because I have to write notes like, hi, I've been looking over your essay and it doesn't appear to have the same stylistic tone as your other work. If you feel I've reached this judgment and error, please let me know and we can have a conference. And that shuts them down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm good like that. But listen, guys, leave a rating. Everybody, I have people now. It's so exciting. People will be talking to me and they'll go, Amy, I'm going to let you finish, but you have to let me finish. And I'm like, oh my God, please rate our show. Please.
All of the things. Please, tell a friend, pass it on, post it. It's so funny because I have friends who, and people, I just don't even think listen to the show. And then also, okay, now what was that thing you were asking me about on the last show? I'm always like, I don't know. I'm like 5 shows ahead in my head. It's like, you have to remind me, what were we talking about?
I know.
I'm like, oh my God, you listen. Then I'm always like, you listen? And like, yeah.
Well, just rate us. All right, take us out because I'm hungry.
Okay, you know the thing. Do the thing. Tell the people. Thank you for listening to us on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Yay.
The number one,
baby,
music podcast network in the world, globally. You know that thing where we were all looking up yesterday at the motherfucking Miss Eclipse? That world, number one.
Yes, and you don't need glasses for that.
You know what I'm saying?
For our show.
You don't need glasses for us. It's a simple click and follow, and you know what to do. We will see you next week. Toodles.
Bye.
Hey, this is Liberty DeVito.
This is Mike Del Giudice.
This is Michael Cavanaugh from Broadway's Moving Out.
This is John Jackson, director of the Billy Joel Archive.
This is Russell Javers.
This is Richie Cannata, and you're listening to Glass Houses, a Billy Joel podcast. It's awesome.
I'm Michael Grosvenor.
And I'm Jack Fernino.
We're lifelong Billy Joel fans who launched a podcast in 2020 celebrating the music we love.
Whether you're looking for the greatest hits or the B-sides and rarities, you'll find it all here. And if you've ever wondered what happens behind the scenes of a concert or recording session, we've got you covered.
Join us as we explore albums, tours, band members, the latest news, and more. You'll also get a unique glimpse into the music industry straight from the musicians and other professionals who help make it all happen.
Tune into Glass Houses, a Billy Joel podcast at glasshouses.pod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Glass Houses, a Billy Joel podcast is a proud member of the Pantheon Podcasts Network.